allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If we can have a moment of silence before we begin. Okay, Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Trustee Gray.
Present.
Trustee Merson.
Present.
Trustee Melody.
Present.
Trustee Severs.
Present.
Assessor Morella.
Present.
Highway Commissioner Robinson.
Present.
Collector Sarah Clermont.
Present.
And Attorney Jason.
Yes, present.
And Susanna, Supervisor.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Okay, and are there any public comments that nobody signed in? So, no public comments? Not yet. Okay. All right, if you're going to make a public comment, now's the time to sign in for it, go and do it.
No, I want to see how the meeting goes. No, maybe next meeting.
Okay.
Your options open.
Yeah, right.
All right, approval of minutes from May 19th, 2025. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion.
That was Don? Oh, Trustee Melody?
Yep. I'll second that motion.
Trustee Gray. Okay, any discussion? Okay, hearing none. Do you want to call the roll?
Yep. Trustee Gray.
Aye.
Trustee Merson.
Aye.
Trustee Melody.
Aye.
Trustee Severs.
Aye.
And Supervisor Stalen.
Aye.
Okay.
Okay, on to reports from township officials. So, this has been a busy 3 weeks, that's all I can say. I'm very busy, so I might have a little bit of a lengthy report. There's a lot's going on, and we've been getting situated, and we're working on a new format a little bit for the agenda, you may have noticed in our minutes. I would like to first start out with this week, last week, I should say, the mayor of the village of Homer Glen and Will County Board member Jim Richmond and I went to a meeting at the county to discuss 143rd Street. And on our way back, the village manager, was also with us, Faber, said, call 911. We pulled over, and there was a little brush fire at the Purdy farm, on the Purdy property. Just happened that we were driving by, and can't believe that he saw it. And fortunately, the village manager had a fire extinguisher in his village vehicle. And he didn't do that until after we called 911 first, but it was starting to move a little bit fast. The grass was dry. So please, I didn't ever find out what the cause of the fire was, but I guess is maybe somebody flipped the cigarette out the window or whatever, but just be cautious, the grass can be dry. And thank you to Village Manager Baber for being so proactive. All right, we had an employee retire on May 31st. It was one of our maintenance men, and so we are down a maintenance person for maintaining the parks.
And he was great.
And the Founders Crossing. So we do have an ad out for a maintenance foreman and hope to hire one soon.
Is Jim going to stay?
I can't take questions from the audience. Okay. All right. Also, so I want to wish Sean Reardon the best on his retirement. So back to 143rd Street, we went to as I said, 143rd Street's been a roller coaster ride. It's up, down between the county votes, the vetoes, and the legislative session in Springfield was no exception. It passed the House, went to the Senate, and then it kind of died in session. It didn't get heard. So it's still out there. It's still viable to do a quick take. In the next session, the county can still proceed forward. But we are working with the village as closely as possible. I've sent letters. I've contacted all the state senators last week, as well as the mayor was very active in trying to stop it. I want to say thank you to the Village of Homer Glen Mayor. Representative Nicola Haas spoke on the floor. She was working behind the scenes. Will County Board Member Jim Richmond went to Springfield with the mayor, as well as with the, met at the county board with the executive. And also like to thank the county executive Jennifer Bertino-Torrent and her staff. They are listening. Unfortunately, it's not resolved. And also Will County Board Member Steve Ballich is also in our court on that one. And senior bingo, there's been some confusion, and we mentioned it last month. It'll continue to be tomorrow is the senior bingo day at Cross of Glory. Doors open at 11:30. And the senior expo is on hold right now. We just need to look at budget. We need to look at how we can pull it together and where. So it's on hold. There has been a lot of vandalism. The village experiences vandalism. There was vandalism at the Healing Garden. Somebody took a hammer to the benches. And there's been vandalism at Morris Park. There's a lot of graffiti over there. We're trying to take care of that. And the barn at Trantina Farm had been, the windows there had been broken. So if you see something, say something, call somebody. We are going to be persistent in, we've reported all of these incidents to the police, and hopefully that'll be resolved soon. I said there would be a vehicle update, and I'm going to leave that up to the highway commissioner when he gives his report. I also said that there would be an update for the Civic Center at Trantina, the proposed Civic Center. There is no septic system installed at the Civic Center. So it is no way and ready to be occupied. There's no fire suppression. Drywall needs to be taped and painted. Lots of electrical work remains to be done. There's some conduit and boxes, but no outlets. There's no heating or cooling or duct work. There's no lights, emergency exit signage, bathroom signage. The floor in the bathrooms need flooring. Floor needs to be sealed. It's waiting for some doors. There's binder needed in the parking lot. And so we have spent at least $2.2 million on this project, and we have a building that we cannot occupy yet. And so that might be a subject that comes up during the budget talks tonight. I'm waiting on Landmark is the contractor that was working on the Civic Center. And so he's supposed to be getting back to us with a quote on what needs to be done. And as well as I've asked the designer of the septic system that was going to install it if he could design it to accommodate a kitchen, because the septic system that was going to be installed would not accommodate a kitchen. So all of that work needs to be done. I feel that it's going to be at least $500,000 to make that building ready to be occupied, to do anything in that building. And that is my report. So I'm going to move on to the trustees. Trustee Gray, do you have anything to report?
Nothing in particular other than to say that I was fortunate enough to, with you, Madam Supervisor, to be part of that meeting about the Civic Center with the contractor. And it did help us to get a better understanding of where that project stands. We had been, for months, it had been alluded to that we would be in that building by May. We'd be in that building by June. Some points they were even thinking they'd be in it last December. And the plain fact of the matter is they started building a $3 million building when they only really had $2 million in the bank. And they ran out of money, and now it's going to be incumbent on us to find that money without raising taxes, without going back to the taxpayer. So I was glad to be part of that meeting because it definitely gave us a much better understanding of where it is, what we have to do to get in there, and then once we do get in there, it still won't be for any of that basketball or things like that. That's not part of the $500,000 that the supervisor alluded to. That's going to be like phase 3. We're just trying to see what we need to do to get the building open and start using it for soft needs, kind of like the senior bingos and the senior expo potentially, things like that that we can use, setting up tables and having meetings. So that was good. And it's also been like you said, a busy 3 weeks. I know you guys have been crazy here, and we appreciate everything you've been doing. I've been trying as much as I could to get out to some of the properties that the village, or that the township does own, just to kind of refresh myself with some of the maintenance issues and some of the other things. And like you said, some of those maintenance issues we need to start addressing. So, you know, before those might not have been a priority because of the kind of the sucking power of the Civic Center taking all the needs and the attention. So we're definitely going to get back on all of that stuff as well. So that's my report.
Okay, Trustee Marson?
I really don't have too much. Over the weekend, I cleaned out the food pantry. There's a lot of expired food in there, so I cleaned it out. I'll be working forward to get it replenished. We probably just need to kind of decide as a group what we want to keep in there available for people if they're in need and we have to provide some assistance. So right now there's, I think, 2 bags of rice and 2 Narcan in there. And everything else was removed. It was either expired or opened, or so that is taken care of. I also talked to Pete at the junior quarters today, discussed some things with him. Looks like they're ready to go with the Morris Park. And I was out there over the weekend and seen the vandalism to the, I don't know if it's their concession or whatever the case is, but it definitely has to get cleaned up. So then there's a fence around the backside, I think of that. There's some probably old equipment in there that probably could be thrown out. Right? It doesn't look like it's even used, and probably needs to be re-whacked in there inside that fenced area. But besides that, park grass looked good, and there are 2 other sheds there. I believe that we own. I think
We do.
the junior porters keep their equipment in there.
Mm-hmm.
And those were not tagged at all. Those are the nicest buildings out there, and there is no graffiti on them whatsoever. So, that's my report for right now.
Okay, and the food pantry he's talking about is just right outside
Yep,
the
right
building
outside
here.
the door.
Do we know if that has been used in recent years? Has anyone access to it? Do we know? Or is it just, it's been,
The only way
I
you
didn't
can
know it
tell
was
is
there,
if something's in there and it's missing the next day.
right, okay.
I guess.
I was
Fill it
curious.
up, Don.
So we'll fill it up and see. Yeah.
Okay, well, that brings us to Trustee Melody for his report.
I don't have anything else to report.
Okay, great.
Yes,
And
well.
Trustee Severs?
Okay, for my report, I wanted to recognize some of the success we've had this spring over at Lockport High School. Let's see, in April, the Vocal Point a cappella advanced to nationals in New York City and took 4th nationally. The boys baseball team were regional champions. The girls lacrosse team were sectional champions. The girls soccer team were conference champions. Boys tennis had 2 state qualifiers, Ryan Moran and Tyler Massey. The girls track team had their first ever state champion in pole vault, Ms. McKenna Miglarini. And we had a 4x8 relay take 9th place. That consisted of Katie Peets, Mary Sola, Lexi Shea, and Sydney Fontaine. The boys track team also had a state champion, Nolan Lamoureux, in the 800. And then the 4x4 relay took 2nd place. That consisted of Nolan Lamoureux, Xavier Adeniyi, Fope Amasore, and Michael Nicholson. We also had an 8th pole vaulter take 8th place, Jacob Soderstrom. And then last but certainly not least, softball team is probably about 15 minutes away from their first pitch in the super sectionals down in Bloomington. Should they win, they will go to the finals tournament this weekend in Peoria.
Good. So there's some outstanding athletes in that community. And Cool. Okay, and Clerk O'Brien, do you have the report?
Just that right now, for the trustees, the FOIA and OMA training is ongoing. We are going to be having training for the township officials of Illinois. We'll be having that actually on the 17th. That will be the trustees, Supervisor Stalen, myself, Collector, and Highway Commissioner. And again, that will be training in Naperville for that. And yes, it has been a busy couple of weeks for us, so we're just trying to all get acclimated, and so that's all.
Okay, and Highway Commissioner Robinson.
Hi. We also have someone who's retiring, Bob Lepretre. I'm sorry if I hacked up your last name. He's retiring in August, and we currently have we have applications out for a position at the Highway Department. So we're going to probably start interviewing. We did get like 17 or 18 applications already, so we're going to start doing some interviews later this week.
I'm sorry. No, go ahead.
Oh, okay. We are in the process of 2 IGAs with Homer Glen. Homer Glen is going to repave 167th from South Bell to Parker, and we have a 150-foot strip right in the middle there, so we're going to have to pick up the cost for that. And there's also, they're repaving Bruce Road east of Cedar, and we have a 600-ish feet of roadway there that we're going to pick that up. Altogether, for our part of it, is about $27,000. So, but it would be silly to have them pave, stop, pave. So we're going to pick up these little spots in the middle. So we are also in the process of, we have a older pickup truck. We're going to buy a new truck, and we're going to trade in the previous road commissioner's pickup truck on that. So it'll cut the cost of the new truck down to about $17,000. So we're in the process for that. I just signed the papers a little while ago. So it'll be something that the guys can use, as opposed to the pickup truck that the road commissioner's truck, which I don't need, and it's too nice of a truck to use as a service truck. So that's what I heard. That's my fabulous report.
Fabulous Commissioner. Okay, and Assessor Morella.
Hello, everybody. Just want to let everybody know that our soft appeal is now closed. This process was to serve the valuable opportunity to engage with residents with their assessments. We look forward to this every year. It gets us out there out and about with residents, kind of look over their assessments. A lot of concerns, they come and ask about their taxes, but we really don't do anything with taxes. We mostly do the value of their property. So it's a good engagement with residents. I got to say, all the residents have been great. We get good feedback from them. Plus, we show them what we have in our office, and we come together and kind of give it a good once-over so they understand where they're coming with their values, which is kind of nice, and that's what I like to do with the residents. So that is now closed. But even though that is closed, they still have an opportunity to go to the Board of Review to appeal their assessments. That's going to open up August 6th, 2025, and it'll go through September 8th of 2025. We are heavily involved in that also. We do have to present evidence for those cases, and a lot of times we'll be able to engage with residents at that time too to see if we can work on some kind of agreement before it actually goes to the Property Tax Appeal Board. So that's their final step after that, and then we're just witnesses in that case. So I want to thank all the residents for their time, and we had some good feedback, so that's it.
Collector Palermo.
Oh, ma'am.
Thank you. All right, moving on. So we're going to open up for public hearing. What do we have here? Okay. All right, well, I'm Susanna Stein, Supervisor of Homer Township, and the time is now 7:19 on June 9th, 2025. And I hereby call to order the public hearing on the tentative budget and appropriation ordinance for the Town Fund, General Assistance Fund, and Road and Bridge Fund for the fiscal year April 1st, 2025 through March 31st, 2026. And I just have one quick question. So if all of the funds, are they all listed, were all these ones mentioned in the budget?
I'm sorry?
Were all of these the ones, did you just Okay. All right, so, Madam Clerk, could you call the roll?
Yes. Trustee Gray,
What are we voting for, to open the public
To
hearing?
open the public hearing.
Aye.
Trustee Merson,
Aye.
Trustee Melody,
Aye.
Trustee Severs,
Aye.
and Supervisor Staley.
Aye, and you can open it up and include the commissioner.
Oh, okay. And Commissioner Robinson.
Aye.
And-
Okay.
Aye.
Oh, all right.
We're getting this down. All right. All right. For the record, the clerk is certified that the tentative ordinance has been on the public display for at least 30 days, and that notice of this hearing was published in the newspaper. Do you know what it was published?
I believe they had it in the Trib.
Okay, and all in compliance with the 60 ILCS 1/80-60 and 50 ILCS 330/3, and we have a quorum, therefore we can proceed. All right, so the purpose of tonight's hearing is to receive public comment on the tentative budget and appropriation ordinance before the board considers it for adoption. And so no other township business will be conducted during this meeting. And, let's see, so we can just, during this hearing, and then, so, let's see if we got, I'm going to pull out the budget. So looking at the budget, I just want to say this was prepared by the previous administration, and so it was published 30 days in advance. So there was a lot for us to learn when looking at the budget. And some things I would just like to say that it may not be exactly how you do your household budget. It's kind of confusing. You are including a wish list of items in your revenues and a wish list of items in your expenses, and those may not happen. So just because you see like 300,000 on a line doesn't mean that we have that money, and it doesn't mean that we're going to spend that money. But that line item is put there so that if the money does come, we have a place to appropriate. Did I say that right? Got an accountant in the audience. And I've got a couple at the table. Okay, so in the township funds, we have a budget for, we have a Founders Crossing bond fund, which that was a bond that I think we paid and we used those funds. And then we have a general fund, which goes towards, Founders Crossing General Fund, which goes towards the maintenance of the senior apartments that are at Founders Crossing. And that is primarily funded through the rents that we receive from the seniors there. And then we have a general assistance fund, which is used for helping people in need in the township. And we have an open space fund, which does not receive any of the tax levy. That was funded through a bond referendum. And so once that money in that open space fund is gone, it's gone. We can't replenish it like by raising a tax. Or, well, I guess we could go out to a referendum for a tax if we wanted to. But there are some revenues for that fund, and those come from, we lease out the farm, the Purdy Farm and the Paul Farms to farmers, and we get some revenue from that. And we have a rental house that's next to the property that we get some revenue from that. And then we have the park fund, I think is next. And that we do have a levy for. And for your information for parks, I think I saw a comment out there that we don't have any parks. We have declared the playground at Trantina Farm a park. We have a dog park. We have a healing garden park that's over by the senior housing. And we have property around here. And we have half of Morris Park over on 163rd Street. So that's where that fund goes to. And then our town fund pretty much handles everything else that comes through the township here. So that's, and then the assessor's budget is, do you want to make any comments on the assessor's budget?
Well, my budget's in the town fund,
Yes.
and when obviously, if I don't ever spend my entire budget, it goes back to the town fund, which is kind of nice, so. You'll see that come right back to the township.
Okay, so, and so in looking over this budget, so we had some questions as board members. And, you know, like, well, why do we have $40,000 in the vehicle fund? We're not planning on purchasing a vehicle. That money was put there. Whether we decide to amend that tonight will be discussed. And there might be some other items that the trustees could bring up. If not, we will probably have some time during the year where we do amend this budget and maybe move some money, but it'll all be done, whatever the procedure is, to do it at that time. So, so we now open the floor for public comment. So if you're going to make a public comment on this, I ask that you state your name and address for the record, and that comments at this time only pertain to the budget. Jim? Joe? Okay, so I'm not hearing any comments.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I do.
Okay.
My name is Angie Dreyer, 14724 Founders Crossing. I'm part of the senior complex. And I was just wondering, part of the community where we live had things replenished, like garage doors, painting of the buildings, water heater, new furnaces, air conditioning. I was wondering, are there funds available for the rest of our nice little community so we all look the same?
One street was done,
Yeah.
the other wasn't.
And we were told that the monies that had been allocated would have taken care of the buildings. And we were just wondering if that's still on the table. If so, when will that begin? And I'm happy because I'm part of the replenished. So I'm
On the right street.
we're on the right street. So I just feel bad for my other, people in the community on the other block. And also will there be any money such as for landscaping? Because I know my husband and I, when we first moved in 7 years ago, weren't sort of happy with how the place looked outside. So we hired our own landscaper and put our own rocks in and bushes. So it looks pretty nice. And the rest have weeds coming up and just not well kept. So, I mean, there's concerns because I feel that whatever the outside looks like is what the inside looks like. And I know my outside looks really nice. And if you stepped in my apartment, I hate to say it, but it looks really nice. But I'm just saying that it'd be nice for everything to look the same.
Well, the fund does have a beginning balance, okay, that carries over, that we do have. As far as all of the improvements, I can tell you right now, there were 2 grants that were involved in doing the garage doors and some other.
Painting the building.
Well, and I know that there's some other needs there, and we've highlighted them in the budget where, so we budgeted for it. I can't tell you if the money is there right now.
If the grants come through.
Right, so we have to check and see what is the status of the grant. Is there room, can we get more grant money? But it's in there if we get the funds. But as far as things like landscaping, the minor things, those will be taken care of. So do you want-
I'm sorry,
Go ahead.
but speaking of the grant money, I was just recently told by someone that the second grant that Village had put in, he always said that it was granted, that the other part of that money was there, and now I was told today that the government pulled it back. And I thought, once you were approved for a grant, you can't pull it back. And the only reason that they said the monies were pulled back was because the people that applied for the grant are no longer in office. So, I don't know about that. That seems sketchy.
It does.
I'm just saying, I don't know.
I've never heard of anything like that. I mean, the township is the lead authority. It's not a matter of who's sitting at these tables at any given time. You know, it's the township that applies. We just happen to be the people who might put that in at any given time. And things like that always span different administrations. There were 2 grants that were given before, an ARPA grant and a CDBG grant, which is state. And those monies were expended. What we're trying to find out right now is, were they like multi-part, multi-stage grants, and maybe there's still some money. Again, the budget that was presented 30 days ago when the Balich administration was still here. They were anticipating grant money, so they have it in the budget. Now it's a matter of, does it really come to fruition? You should not have to reapply for that grant, though. The township has not changed, just the administration. So it'll take a little bit more time for everybody to just kind of get the lay of the land. But we do understand, we have been over at Founders and looked at all the buildings and everything, and we do see that the difference, you know, between the garage doors and the roofs and skylights and things of that nature. So we definitely know there's still work to be done over there. So as those monies become available, unfortunately, though, if the grant money doesn't come through, I think what Supervisor Steinle was starting to say, and I think we all agree, is that there's not a lot of wiggle room in the regular budget to transfer money into the Founders Crossing budget to get that. So we really are dependent on those grants to come through to take care of some of the bigger ticket items. So, but we'll stay on it, and we'll definitely scour for every dollar we can.
And one of our plans is to meet with the seniors that are living there and to address any concerns that they have.
Sure, how soon will that happen? Because I've had people come up to me, not that I'm the mayor over there or anything, but I just want to let you know. I mean, I like to socialize and say hi to people and talk to them, and I walk around the neighborhood, and, you know, it's just a little community on our own.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want us to be forgotten.
Right.
So I was just wondering, when would you have the opportunity to come and introduce yourselves to us? Because I have people asking me, and I'm like, I don't know. I mean, call, ask. Just like phone numbers. We were given a magnetic little thing to put on our refrigerator that had all the call numbers, maintenance, office, so-and-so,
That was
blah, blah,
nice.
blah.
Yeah, I like that.
And now those people are no longer on that thing, so
So
that's...
now we have to get a new one to put on our refrigerator.
Right. But I mean, I know if I have an issue, I call the main office anyway, but I'm just saying that it was nice.
Well, we are planning to replace those magnets with updated numbers, so that's already in the works. And as far as the date, we're working on that.
Yeah.
We're trying, whether we do it on a Saturday morning or an early evening, we're trying to figure out what would be best. So you'll be hearing from us soon.
They have a
But
beautiful clubhouse that is not used by us. We used to have our bingos there. Why can't we have a book club, a movie night? I mean, we're seniors. This gives us would give us a chance to mingle
yes,
once a month. They could do something
we are planning to do
once a
so.
month.
But anyway, so right now we have to focus on the budget.
Yeah.
So we will address those in a separate meeting. But other than that, is there anyone else out here that would like to comment on the budget? Okay. So seeing none, the portion of this hearing is closed. And then for trustees, do you have any questions or proposed amendments to the tentative ordinance as presented?
No, I don't. I just, as you've already said, but just to reiterate a little bit of that, I'm just going to take some time for all of us to spend and dig into these numbers and understand them and determine whether or not amendments will be made. But again, just to reiterate that I think there will be amendments to this budget once we can dig into the numbers and get more information behind both revenue sources and expenditures.
And I'd like to add too, in the online, you'll find our entire packet, the book that we all have here. It's like 150 pages, so you don't want to print it out at home. But there's a lot of good, valuable information in there, and the budget is in there, and it shows the last 2 years as well as what's proposed for the next year. And to what Supervisor Stidham was saying about how there are some categories that have a number in them, we're not necessarily going to spend that money. There's an addendum after the budget, and it shows actually what was spent in the last year. So it shows you categories where we actually did have a spend. Some of those still, whether we had a spend or not, they still have forecast amounts in the upcoming budget. Those are the things we're saying that we're probably going to amend, because we want to have a clearer picture, and we want it to be really understandable by all the residents too, a clearer picture of what the budget really is. If we're putting money in a fund, then we're thinking there's a likelihood we'll spend that throughout the year. I mean, it takes a little bit more work on the administration and the trustees' part to kind of look throughout the year to say, what are we anticipating for next year, and to put those things in the correct category. So, but it is a useful tool when you're looking at the budget. You're looking at the budget numbers, and they're kind of static. They don't really tell you a lot, because it doesn't tell you what you spent last year. It's like when you do your home budget, you can say, what's it going to cost me for electricity next year? Well, I've been living in this house for 20 years. I can look back at my last 3 bills and kind of, I can make an assumption of what next year will be, based on my lifestyle and everything, unless something's drastically changed. So those are the numbers we're really interested in, is looking at the actual numbers and going forward, looking at those in that regard. So,
Keith, you mentioned that could be online. Where on the website exactly could you see that budget?
Sue or Tammy, can you-
It's kind of confusing, I know. If you go to records,
Okay.
and then it goes to agenda meetings and agendas, and you look up the agenda
Yes.
for this date, the whole agenda packet of information, you just click on it and you'll find all of
Because I
those
was there
pages.
today, this morning, and
Mhm.
I did not see that.
Okay, under the records tab.
Yeah, I was there, under record, under meeting/agenda. I found the agenda, but I did not see the budget.
You didn't see
there.
the whole packet.
You had to keep scrolling down. It's so many pages when you're doing it on your phone.
Yeah.
I mean, it probably took a lot to load, because it's so large.
All right.
But
We'll
it's-
check
if
to
that-
make
it's
sure it's
there.
there, that the whole
I
thing
was
is
on there
there.
yesterday,
he's-
and it was
he's
on
got
there.
it.
Actually on there right now on his
And it's
phone.
on there.
So-
But again, all of those, don't hit print. Never hit print with one of these things until you ascertain how many pages
Yeah,
it is.
okay.
But yeah, it's easy enough to scroll through it, but like I was saying, there is the budget, and then there's an addendum after it that just shows what the spend was for last year. It's only 1 year for right now, but that was just kind of a quick tool we were asking for, so.
Okay, so Trustee Marson, do you have any other comments?
No, I'm good for right now.
Okay, Trustee Severs? Good. Okay, so if there's no further discussion, I'd like to entertain a motion to adopt the budget and appropriation. Wait, do you have something? Oh, you're right. Oh.
Yeah, so I think-
Oh, that's the hearing portion. I see
Yeah,
what
so
we
I
did.
think you can just jump right to adjourn the public hearing.
Okay.
And then you can move on to the agenda.
Thank you, that's fine, yeah, and that's the Okay, all right, so that concludes the business part of the public hearing, and so then may I have a motion to adjourn the hearing? Yeah,
On the public hearing, I didn't hear you do the road district.
okay, let's do the road district now without closing and opening. I was wondering if we have to open and close for the...
No, you don't. You can do the road district just as
Okay.
far as this public hearing. So you can do that.
My
You can do
first.
that.
All right. All right, anyone have a comment? Do you want to say something about the road district?
No, I just wanted to say that the first week, I went through this line by line with the road district staff, and a lot of the same kind of questions. Well, if we have that money, we can do this, or that money, But I made sure that everything that was laid out, because like we said, this was built by the previous administration, that they were good with it, and we were going to be able to maintain and operate, and we, like I said, we went through it line by line, and everything was fine.
So does anyone in the public want to comment on the road district? Okay, any trustees? Okay, we don't, he sets his budget, and you live by it,
And
so.
Kristen, no.
Okay, so that concludes the business of the public hearing. So now can I have a motion to adjourn the public hearing?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Trustee Marson, trustee
Marson.
Severs? Okay, and all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the Hearing is closed at 7:40 PM. Thanks for your participation, everybody. Okay, moving along. Okay, so we have some action items. And I would like to consider for approval payment of all bills for May 2025, which includes the certificate of deposit, equipment and building fund, Founders Crossing Bond Fund, Founders Crossing General Fund, General Assistance Fund, Open Space Fund, Park Fund, Road and Bridge, and Town Fund. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Gray
I'll second.
and Trustee Melody. Okay, any discussion?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions about some of the TORMA. The TORMA is our insurance carrier, I believe, for the township, and it shows up in several of the funds. And I just want to know, and I don't necessarily know that you know this answer, but if you can find out and let us know, like to know, is this the annual premium or semi-annual premium? When I'm looking in like the Founders Fund, it's $25,647. That can't possibly be a monthly premium, I wouldn't think. So I'm wondering, is it for 6 months, for a year, as well as it pops up again in like the, I believe in the Park Fund, maybe Open Space. I know in the Road and Bridge it is, or I'm sorry, the Road District. So I'd just like to know, will we be seeing those again, or is that kind of a one and done since we're at the beginning of a fiscal year?
Okay, so which one did you just say, you just were looking at it, that's a
It's in the, it's in several of the funds.
Okay, because if we look at the budget, we should be able to see it in the budget.
The Founders General Fund, it's $25,647.
The township fund is like 18,000.
Right, the town fund. And then it's in the open space, I believe, the park. Open space has $8,894. So again, you can see we're well north of probably $50,000 at this.
You know, hearing that number, I would guess that would be annual, but
Yeah, like I said, I know you
would
probably
be-
don't know that, but if you can find out
I'm
from
looking right now, trying to see the,
the staff who's got more.
let's see if I can find Torma in
The
here.
road district
So
is 15,000.
So we budgeted 35,000 for it, so that sounds like an annual figure.
Okay.
You know. And it's kind of confusing because of they do split it across each fund.
Well, right,
Yeah.
it shows up in all the funds. But again, I just want to know if we're going to be seeing this monthly or semi-annually,
You know what?
annually.
Let's see. Oh, but I just have I have April's here. I can tell you what it was in April.
Do you have page numbers on that?
Pardon?
Do you have page numbers on that,
Uh,
on those reports?
Yes and no.
Yes and no, it's like a legal document, so it starts again, you know, different categories. So it's hard.
It's not like 1 through 200, it's 1 through 5, then another
Yeah.
1 through 10.
734.
Yeah,
And
so
it's
what,
18,813.
so in the town? In the budget?
Yeah.
Okay, so if I'm looking at the year April through March of last year, if I could look at the whole town fund, 734. If they don't put it in where they. So the actual cost for all of last year was actually in the town fund, it was only 18,000 for the whole year. So that would have to be a year premium.
Okay.
Yeah, and like you said, the budget for the year is 35, so that's that.
So they increased it.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Is it each fund?
It's in multiple funds. So, right, we'd have to find that out, multiple, again, across all of them. I'm sure the staff can probably answer that
Yeah,
question
we
pretty
probably
quickly
have,
since they've seen it for years.
we probably have an agreement
It's just the first time we're seeing it.
lays
So
it
that
out.
was the only question to answer.
Okay, anyone else with questions?
They must work outside.
Okay, so trustee Gray motion, trustee Melody seconded. Discussion's done, so take a roll call vote.
Trustee Gray,
Aye.
trustee Merson,
Aye.
trustee Melody,
Aye.
trustee Severs,
Aye.
and supervisor Spellin.
Aye.
Okay.
Okay, okay. All right, next we have an approval of resolution 2025-0609, RES1. And this is clarification and restatement of the Highway Commissioner's compensation for the term 2025 through 2029. That was one of the things that we campaigned upon, and after review, the Highway Commissioner has agreed to a part-time salary because the road mileage is under 18 miles. And so do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll
Okay,
second.
trustee Severs? Second by trustee Melody?
Want to do a quick explanation to the,
Well, let's do any discussion, and then I'll go with you with explanation. So, go ahead.
okay, so back in 2020, when the village took over the roads, the township board, when they voted the payroll ordinance, it said that if the mileage was under 20 miles, the road commissioner would be part-time and receive compensation of $15,000. When the previous board passed their ordinance, there was there was a statement made that there was no changes to the ordinance, and everything would remain the same. That's what they had mentioned at their when they passed their ordinance. But somehow all the part-time stuff was left out. So we had said from day one that this was going to be a part-time position, and so we are just putting the part-time wording back into the payroll ordinance, so that's clarified. That that the road commissioner is a part-time position and is going to be paid $15,000 a year. And we're just clarifying what's going on. So.
Severs and Melody.
Okay, trustee Severs, do you have any comments?
I do not.
Okay, trustee Melody?
Yeah, I'd like to commend Commissioner Robinson for sticking to his campaign promise, saving the township money. It's the right thing to do, as we all know. And then on this resolution, I don't know that it matters. In here, I know John mentioned that, the stipulation or the footnote in 2020 or 2024 was left out of their resolution, and we have in here the wording that it was inadvertently left out. I don't know that we know it was inadvertently left out or it was on purpose. I do not want to make any allegations, but just it's in here, and I don't know that we know that for sure, so I'd just like to make that statement. But again, I am otherwise very, I think it's commendable that John is accepting a part-time position, as he should.
Just me. Yeah, that's good. That's good. No, sorry. The other guy may count. You didn't hear that, but I thought it was.
Per the resolution is 61,000
Plus benefits, correct?
plus benefits.
What?
Pension.
Trustee Gray?
I would like to echo trustee Melody and commending Commissioner Robinson for renouncing the $61,115 per year and taking $15,000. It is the right thing to do. That was put in place for a reason. Road districts are kind of a waning thing here in a metropolitan area that we're in, and it was recognized by boards years ago that as their footprint reduced, so should the position itself as well as the pay, and that was a good thing that they put in place back then, and it was very unfortunate that it was overlooked for the last 4 years. So I'm glad to see we're back on track with that. So.
And that, trustee Mark?
My own question, John, what is the total mileage now of the township roads?
The exact number I don't have. It was 18.2, and then New Lenox, when they annexed part of Meter Road and part of Chicago Bloomington, it's now 17-ish. We don't have the new report yet of what the actual mileage is, but it's now, they took just about a mile of road, so it's down to like 17.
Oh, 17. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so, Trustee Melody, are you asking for an amendment to this?
No, I'm not.
Okay. All right, so, hearing discussion, then, can we call the roll for?
Sure. Trustee Gray,
Aye.
Trustee Merson,
Aye.
Trustee Melody,
Aye.
Trustee Severs,
Aye.
and Supervisor Stylin.
Aye.
Okay.
Okay, I wanted to have that discussion before we adopted the budgets. So now we have adoption of the ordinance HPRD-0609-2025, which is the Homer Township Road District budget and appropriation ordinance for fiscal year 2025 through 2026. Can I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, Trustee Gray
I'll second it.
and Trustee Marson. Okay, any discussion? Okay, all right, call the roll.
Trustee Gray,
Aye.
Trustee Merson,
Aye.
Trustee Melody,
Aye.
Trustee Severs,
Aye.
and Supervisor Stylin.
Aye.
Okay.
Okay, next is adoption of ordinance HT 2025-0609, ORD 1, the Homer Township budget and appropriation ordinance fiscal year 2025 through 2026. May I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Was that Melody?
Melody?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
I'll second.
and
Severs?
Trustee Severs.
Okay.
Okay, any discussion?
No.
Okay. Call the roll.
Trustee Gray,
Aye.
Trustee Merson,
Aye.
Trustee Melody,
Aye.
Trustee Severs,
Aye.
and Supervisor Stylin.
Aye.
Okay.
Okay, approval of resolution 2025-0609, RES2. Approval of the appointment of Susanna Stylin for the authorized agent of IMRF. And what this is IMRF is the employee pension plan, and the organization requires us to have an authorized representative, and typically it has been the supervisor in the past, so we've chosen to appoint me. So, do I have a motion to approve this resolution?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, Trustee Marson?
I'll second it.
And Trustee Melody. Okay. Any discussion?
We think you'll do a fine job.
I'll do my best. Okay.
Okay, Trustee Gray,
Aye.
Trustee Merson,
Aye.
Trustee Melody,
Aye.
Trustee Severs,
Aye.
and Supervisor Stylin.
Aye.
Okay.
Okay, approval of Lockport Junior Porters Football Club's use of Morris Park. So, the Porters have approached us to use the park for practice purposes. They do their games at the Township High School. I believe it's on Sundays that their games are usually out. And at the last minute, they thought they were going to be practicing at the high school, and then at the last minute, they came to us. And so we have an agreement that is just going to go through the end of the year to allow them to use the park. So may I have a motion to consider for approval the use of Morris Park by the Lockport Junior Porters Football Club from June 9th through December 1st, 2025?
I'll make the motion.
Gray.
No, that was Trustee Melody?
Oh, Melody?
Okay.
I'll second it.
Okay, any discussion?
I fully support this. I just, in some of the conversations we're having about the visits, I live right across the street from there, but I haven't actually set foot in there in quite some time. But I just think that if we do vote to do this, that I know obviously no money is an issue, but we want to make sure we can make sure everything's in working order as much as it can, or just that we keep on it and focus to make sure, since it's going to be used by a local organization.
And I did talk to Peter earlier tonight about it was around 4:30, and he said pretty much they're just going to use it for practice purposes, and I think they're holding they're holding a
Summer camp?
yeah, a small camp, right? And after that, they'll probably use it for practices. So I asked him if he doesn't believe any games will be played there. Games still be played at the high school. So sounds like a great opportunity for him. So.
Okay. And I mentioned the vandalism at the park earlier, and so we do have staff taking a look at cleaning that up, because we don't really. It's an embarrassment the way some of our parks look, and we really do want to look good in the community, so we will fix that. Okay, so we have.
We got to vote on it.
Any more discussion?
Okay. Trustee Gray?
Aye.
Trustee Marson?
Aye.
Trustee Melody?
Aye.
Trustee Severs?
Aye.
And Supervisor Stalen?
Aye.
Okay.
Okay. So now is on to old business, and I don't have anything listed for old business, so maybe at the next meeting, I kind of covered that in the report. And so moving on to new business, I didn't have anything listed on the agenda, but I do have some items that I would like to bring up just for everybody's information. And that is, the City of Lockport has their Planning and Zoning Commission hearings tomorrow, and they have two items on the agenda that I do believe are of interest to our residents. And one is, there's a public hearing for a Sadie Ridge subdivision, which is located on the north side of Bruce Road between Cedar and Gauger. And so that's the public hearing for that. That's 318 homes. Originally were proposed, and they did reduce it to 260. The engineers have required a traffic study, and so they are trying to address every concern that residents have brought up over the past couple months. So if you're interested in that, that's tomorrow. Also, at the same meeting, they are going to be presenting a concept plan for Heritage Woods assisted living senior housing that is planned for, they'd like to have it on the north side of 163rd Street, practically across from Morris Park, which is also right next to the, is it Windmill Estates? Windmill Estates subdivision. So I just want our residents to know about that, if you would like to go to if you have any concerns, that's at the City of Lockport Plan Commission tomorrow at 7 o'clock.
When they say seniors living,
Was it
like our community?
It would be like kind of like a Victorian Village, Marion Village kind of thing. So, okay, and also for new business for next month, we will be bringing forth committees. I had mentioned that last month, but we just really haven't had time to organize them and reach out and find all the volunteers. So we will be appointing some committees at our next meeting. That would be seniors, veterans, special needs, open space, civic center. And then I do have, if anybody is interested, some forms for volunteering. And it's also on our website. They'll be available at the front desk. We would like some volunteers for those committees. So other than that, does anyone else have anything that they want to bring up for new business?
No.
Okay. Well then, we are going to go into executive session. So I would like a motion to enter into a closed session under Section 2C1 of the Open Meetings Act to discuss the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the township. So, I'd like to,
I'll make a motion.
okay, Melody,
I'll second.
and second by trustee Severs. Okay, and then, call the roll.
Trustee Gray?
Aye.
Trustee Marson?
Aye.
Trustee Melody?
Aye.
Trustee Severs?
Aye.
And Supervisor Stalen?
Aye.
Okay.
So, we're gonna, so we,
Are you going into your?
I'll go and do the executive
okay,
session.
so we're going to do that